Alright, so this is the FieldView website. This is accessible through any internet-enabled browser, computer, Android, phone, any banking user. The website address is fieldview.precisionplanning.com. And then you'll need to log in with your FieldView username and password. When you log in for this year, you won't see much. I'll show you what it'll look like after you've planted, or if you look at last year's. So let's down here. The first report that comes up is the planting summary. So we can see 2014 corn, planted, complete goal, total acres planted, acres remaining, that kind of thing. That's all based off of what you input. Down below, 2 planters planted on this FieldView account. One planted 933 acres, average speed was 5, 14.4 acres per hour, 99.4% singulation, 96 rooted downforce. So there's a white planter, planted a total of 33 acres of corn. We go up top, switch that to soybeans, and we change there. The white planter planted 564 acres of beans and split row. So you can see kind of a summary there. Up at the top, when we go to the reports button, that drop down. Now I'm going to go to planning report by field. Now this is going to load everything that happened by field. I'm going to switch this to 2014. Soybeans. When they come up. Most likely we won't see, singulation or spacing. It shows 99.4. That was because that was planted with that 15-inch planter. So it showed it. You can see loss of ground contact, downforce, average population, acres, and date. Switch that to corn, you can see the corn as well. Here, the date, the acres, average population, speed, all that stuff. We'll also look at it specifically by planter or by hybrid by field. Over here under the data tab, there's a field manager, and basically in here, this is kind of a duplicate of what you can do to create fields or edit fields from the iPad app. There's only one thing you can do on here that you cannot do on the iPad app, and that is merge fields. So let's say you've used the 2020 for a couple of years, and you had one field that one year you called it one name, and the second year you called it a different name. So it's actually the same field, but it's one year you have to look at Bob's East 80, and the other year you call it Bob's 80 for some reason. You could check mark 2 of them, Bob's 80 and Bob's East 80, go up to the upper right under action, and then go merge. And it would merge those 2 fields together, and you would check which one of those you wanted the field name to be after the merge. So that would move all the data for those fields together. So you wouldn't any longer have to look under 2 field names, it would put it all in one field. So this keeps your data where if you delete Bob's 80 and keep Bob's East 80, the year you planted under Bob's 80, that data is gone. It's deleted. Under Data Manager, 2014, this is basically a backup of all the mapping files that have been created by 2020 in the iPad. So from here, I can go to Actions in the upper right. I could share the fields if I want somebody else to have the field mapping files. Now this is sharing the actual background file, the DAT file. If I have an agronomist or consultant I work with and they would need those files for any reason, I can click on Share, type in their email address, and send them a link to download it. Also under Actions, I could export DAT files, and that would basically download them right to the computer. So instead of having to go, I got to go to the tractor, download all my data to the USB stick, it's all here. So I can do those different things here. Also under Data, there's a Data Transfer button. You can go to Add Files. Here, if I have prescriptions or boundaries that I have saved on my computer that somebody emailed me, or I made with desktop software, or whatever it might be, I can upload them here. They'll sync up to the cloud, sync down to my iPad app, and transfer into the 2020 for control of variable rate or bit. But if you have other shape files from other programs, like fertility maps, line prescriptions, coverage maps from an aerial application, whatever it might be, you can upload them through here, and they will actually show up on the FieldView website and on the FieldView app. Under notifications, there's text alerts and email reports. Text alerts, you can put in a phone number here, or multiple, and basically, when your speed, simulation, good spacing, loss of ground contact, or excess downforce are greater or less than those values you can select for 5 acres, you'll get a text message that says that that's going on. Now, if you're the one who always runs the planner, there's really no need to get a text message. You should see it on your FieldView. But if you're away from the planner, you still want to have an idea of when a problem happens, you can enroll in this. Also under notifications, there's email reports. So you can set up here to add email. You can put an email address in, report frequency. You can do it one time a day at a certain time, every hour, or when a field is changed on the 2020, it will kick off an email. That's a report of basically everything that's been happening. So it's kind of similar to that field summary report on the FieldView app, but you get it in an email. Over here under map, if you've got spatial data for your fields, they're going to show up in here. So if you've imported them from climate, or if you've used 2020 in the past, they'll be in here. And what you can do in here is a couple things. For planting, click on that field. Here we can see the outline of the field. That's the yield map from last fall, but if you don't use yield sense, you wouldn't have that. Over on the right, there's an RX button right there. And if I have spatial data, I can click that button. It's going to pull up the soil types for the field. Do that properly. It'll pull, but it should pull in soil types for that field. That's all right. Try it. And then you can assign a prescription to each soil type. So this one has sable, Iberian, and Tama. So here I can click on the sable. See now the blue, that's 17 acres of the sable soil type. Kind of highlighted, it's like 34,000. And then when I click away, it populates all of them with 34,000. Now there's this Iberian. I click in there. It's the green, you can see it highlighted on the map. I could put that 33,000. And then the Tama, I can just use these arrows. I'm going to drop that to 33. I really want the sable of it at 36 and a half. And if I put the Iberian, the Tama at 33.5. The average population is 34,812. Then I can touch create, and once I create that, it's going to sync up to cloud, and it'll show up on my iPad where I can view it. And then with vDriver RowFlow, I can control to it. Where we've gone to data and map importer, there's been some imported shape files in here. Then if we go to map, if you use yield sense, your yield maps will show up in here as well as on your iPad. So here in this field, it's 2014 corn. You see it's building the yield map. So whether or not I have the yield map, I can come over here to layers and pull up a imported shapefile. This one happens to be sprayer coverage. That's the passes that the crop duster made with fungicide. You can see they either missed a spot or left a check strip. Right in through there, it's not covered. Now, if you have yield sense, as this has, and the yield is overlaid, you can go in here to this polygon tool on the right, click on that, and I'm going to draw around that area where there was a check strip. Go back to the first point. It's going to generate a yield report for just that area inside that rectangle I just created. We'll try to get an idea here. Was there a yield loss? So there, the average yield is 195 on that 6 acres. Delete that. Now come over here to the report. What was it for the whole field? It was 213. 18 bushel loss compared to the field average by not the fungicide. So we know what paid. We can go in here to the layers and remove sprayer coverage, but put soil zones in there. And now we'll pull in soil zones and overlay those on top of field maps. And I can hit the report button again. And now I can see once it pulls into the zones, but I can see here the drummer average 224. The sable is 214. There's some uncategorized soil, and the Elbert soil type is 208. So the soil types are automatically in there. The sprayer covered shapefile is what was loaded in. Alright, so here's the field. Go over, touch RX. Okay, so there's the soil types. Sable, Ipava, Hackberry. So I already messed with this field, but let's just take this up fairly high. 38, 35.5, 34.5, 38. Description has been successfully created, will be available in FieldView after the next spot saving. Alright, good deal. So that's what you can do on the website.